Vulkan for Minecraft is absolutely incredible. So far, the results seem really promising. And of course, it may depend a lot on what type of hardware you're running and how good your PC is overall, but the general consensus online is that this is gonna be a good update for the game. So what's going on? Well, a while back I already made a video here on the channel about Mojang switching up the graphics API for Minecraft from OpenGL to Vulkan. Now you may have no clue what I just said, so let me quickly explain. Minecraft has a rendering engine, which is basically the engine that makes it so that everything in the game actually renders. Not in terms of chunks and blocks, but just everything that's being displayed on your screen. And Minecraft's rendering engine named Blaze 3D is doing that. But the backend of Blaze 3D, so what is essentially powering it, is OpenGL. Now OpenGL is the graphics API, and it is extremely outdated. It is still supported on most modern systems, but it is no longer receiving frequent updates, and the norm has definitely shifted away from OpenGL towards Vulkan. Now the main reason Mojang is switching is actually because of macOS. In reality, macOS doesn't support either OpenGL or Vulkan. They don't run on Mac systems natively, but with an added compatibility layer, they can totally run. And that is what Minecraft has been doing since the start. But OpenGL is so outdated now that soon macOS is not gonna have support for it at all anymore. Not even with a compatibility layer, meaning Java Edition would stop working on Macs. And because Mojang doesn't want to lose out on all macOS users, they've made the decision to switch to Vulkan. And the good news is that Vulkan has actually arrived. So I'm currently playing on Minecraft version 26.2 Snapshot 3. If you recall the previous video that I made, Mojang actually said that 26.2 was gonna be the first version of Minecraft to have Vulkan support. Now I did not really expect it to already arrive in the first snapshot, but it totally did. If you go to settings, and after that you go to video settings, then here at the top on the right side, you will see a new button named Graphics API. And this allows you to switch between OpenGL and Vulkan. Now for a while, Mojang is gonna keep them both, so this button will be here for a bit. But eventually the goal is to just completely remove OpenGL from the game and only rely on Vulkan. But because this option is now here, it means that we can do some tests. So currently my FPS is on unlimited. VSync is off, and these are all of my other settings. We're gonna pop in game using OpenGL, and we're gonna test how it runs. So there we go. My FPS is currently showing in the top left. I'm just using the default settings of this snapshot, so I've not changed anything except for the graphics API. For those who want to know, I'm using a 2080 Ti together with an Intel i9 9900K. Like you may know, this is pretty outdated hardware, dating back all the way to 2019, meaning this is a 7-year-old system and it definitely needs replacement at some point, but that doesn't really matter in this case, because we can just look at the FPS and see what it's doing, and then we can, or cannot, notice an improvement when using Vulkan. So currently, I'm sitting around 500 FPS when I'm looking in this direction. Of course, when I stand completely still, it does go up a bit. It is very hard to accurately test FPS in Minecraft because no matter where you look, different things are happening. Like when I look at the ocean, there are more mobs, there's water that's moving, there's just more happening on screen, so the FPS will be lower. When I look into this direction, not that much is happening, but we do have some bunnies there that definitely impact the FPS. And when we look into this direction with lots of trees, you can see it takes a pretty big dunk. It goes down to the 300-400 range because, again, different things are happening. So it really depends on where we're looking in game, how much FPS we're getting. Now a test that doesn't really do much for you, but which can be interesting is just looking straight up. Looking straight up into the sky, the only thing you see is clouds and the sun, which is standing still because I've frozen time. And you can see I'm drawing around 1050 FPS, somewhere in that range. Not bad, but this is while using a very outdated graphics API, the one that was default until this point. But now let's see what happens when we switch to Vulkan. So to do that, we're gonna go back to video settings, and over here, we're gonna change the graphics API to Vulkan. After that, you must restart your game, otherwise this setting will not apply. And after rebooting and rejoining the world, we are now officially using Vulkan. And now the big question is, do we see some difference? And oh yes, we do. In the same direction I was looking before, where I was getting around 500 FPS, we're now sitting at a solid 750, kind of in that range. Sometimes when I move rapidly, it dips kind of below, but around the 700, that is where we sit. When we look in the direction of the ocean, which was lowest before, we are now sitting at around 500. So that is, again, a 100 to 150 FPS improvement. Not bad. And when we look at the trees, which, now that I recall, I believe that looking at the trees was worst of it all. And we're sitting at a solid 500 FPS. Now, I know, realistically, you're not gonna need 500 FPS to play this game. That's also not what this test is about, but it's just to give you an idea of how much the FPS improves, the maximum FPS, by just switching the graphics API, nothing else. No mods are installed here, nothing is installed whatsoever. It is just the graphics API that we've changed. So now let's see what happens when I look straight up like I did before. We're just gonna look straight up and okay! That is a 100% improvement. Before, we were only getting around 1050 FPS while looking straight up. And now we're sitting at a solid 2200 FPS. And it's rarely dipping below. That is promising. And I've not done anything else. This is just a change of the graphics API. But of course, it really depends on what hardware you're running. Because even though the 2080 Ti is an old GPU, it is still a quote-unquote modern card. It natively supports Vulkan, but hardware that is more than 10 years old may not. And if you have a laptop or a PC that is more than 10 years old, and you don't have a modern GPU, then this could actually have the complete opposite effect on you. Now currently I'm here running on a Windows system and I'm recording this on Windows too. But of course one of the main reasons Mojang wanted to make this change is because macOS would soon no longer be supported. OpenGL is essentially on life support on macOS. So this performance improvement that we're noticing here on Windows, will we also notice that on macOS? That is a very good question and something which I am gonna try out. Because I do actually own a MacBook that I usually only use for video editing. But why not try running Minecraft on there? And the results here are actually very interesting. So currently I'm here on macOS using a Mac with an M5 Pro chip, just walking around in-game. You can see that wherever I look and whatever I do, I'm getting sort of a consistent 200 to 300 FPS. It seems definitely a lot lower than on my Windows PC with the 2080 Ti, but it does somehow seem more consistent. It is not peaking to 500 or 600 and then dropping down to 300 again. It is just staying between the 200 and 300 range pretty much the entire time. Now when I look up straight to the sky, you can see that my FPS spikes. It goes up all the way to around 750 FPS, which is basically the peak that it reaches. So in that sense, kind of the same behavior as on the Windows PC. But now I'm switching my Mac installation to Vulkan. And what we're seeing here, I did not expect. The frame rate somehow becomes even more stable. We are consistently sitting at around 250 FPS, no matter where we look or whatever we do in game. It is just around 250 and it doesn't fluctuate a lot from that number at all. But what surprised me most is when I looked up straight to the sky, like I've done in every single test so far, the FPS did not spike. It actually stayed consistent around that 250. So no matter what I do, or how many entities or blocks are in my view, it just stays consistent, which I guess is a good thing, but it also doesn't go any higher than this particular number. The sky or trees, no matter what I do, around 250, that is the only number I can get from it. So while on Windows, there seems to be a significant upgrade when switching from OpenGL to Vulkan, on macOS, that's not really the case. Yes, it works and it is very stable and consistent, way more consistent than it has ever been on Windows. It just tries to stick to kind of the same number all the time, even though my FPS is completely unlimited. But for some reason, it just doesn't go above that number. Now, if you just care about pure FPS count, then this Vulkan update may be a downgrade for you, because you are getting less FPS on macOS. You're not reaching the same 750 peak while just looking straight up. But I mean, it's also not dipping below 250, or at least not below 200. So in terms of playability, yes, 200 FPS is definitely enough FPS to play the game very smoothly. Most monitors only support 60 or 120 Hz, so anything which is much higher than that doesn't really matter that much. Now, hopefully this gives you kind of an idea of the performance. I'm not sure if it is gonna get better over snapshots. Maybe as soon as 26.2 actually releases, we're gonna see an even bigger improvement. I have no clue. I guess we will see when the update is out. Also, I would be very interested in you guys running your own tests at home, and definitely let me know in the comments down below what your experience is. So what type of hardware do you have? And do you notice any difference between Vulkan and OpenGL? And is it actually a positive for you? Or do you hope that Mojang will continue supporting OpenGL, at least for the foreseeable future? With all of that being said, that's it for now. Do make sure to sub to the channel, join my Discord. Thank you so much, channel members. And then I will see you in the next one. Bye bye. See you later. Bye bye.